The United States says this is about democracy.
Late last night and early today, at my direction, the United States Armed Forces conducted an extraordinary military operation in the capital of Venezuela.
About drugs, about restoring order in Venezuela. But here's what made many people stop and look twice. Before any long speeches, before political debates, before explanations, global markets reacted first.
Silver is in the middle of a historic rally
for oil prices going forward, and not just oil prices alone, for equity as well as other commodity prices as well.
Gold prices moved, silver prices jumped, safe haven assets spiked. The real question is, why does Venezuela still matter so much to the world today? Why does a country producing very little oil right now? Before oil, Venezuela was not special. It was largely agricultural, quiet, politically unstable like many Latin American nations. Then in the early 1920s, massive oil reserves were discovered. And this discovery didn't just change Venezuela, it changed who Venezuela mattered to. At that time, the Middle East was not yet dominant. The US was rapidly industrializing. Energy security was becoming a national priority. Venezuela suddenly became strategically important, not just economically useful.
When a major source of oil to the United States is threatened, that's big news. But we're not talking about some oil-rich sheikdom in the Middle East. We're talking about our Latin American neighbor, Venezuela, which supplies almost as much oil to the United States as Saudi Arabia does.
American and European oil companies moved in fast. They didn't just extract oil, they built infrastructure, cities, refineries, and ports. Venezuela chose a profit-sharing model. Half the money stayed in the country. Geography made things even better. Venezuelan oil could reach U.S. refineries in days. Transport costs were low, supply was stable. By the 1950s, Venezuela had one of the strongest currencies in the world, a growing middle class, living standards higher than many European nations. At this stage, Venezuela looked like what many oil countries wanted to become, but wealth created comfort, not resilience, and that distinction matters. Here's the problem Venezuela didn't see. Almost everything depended on oil. Food, imported. Manufacturing, limited. Jobs, linked to government spending. As long as oil prices stayed high, the system looked stable. But it wasn't diversified, it wasn't prepared for shocks, and it relied heavily on external expertise. This weakness remained hidden until politics entered the picture. In 1999, Hugo Chavez came to power. He asked a powerful question. If this oil belongs to Venezuela, why are foreigners getting rich? That message worked. People voted emotionally, not economically. Oil prices rose. Government revenue exploded. Poverty numbers improved on paper. But instead of using oil money to build industries, strengthen agriculture, create export businesses, the state focused on subsidies, price controls, free goods. At the same time, experienced oil professionals were pushed out. Loyalty replaced competence. For a while, the money covered the damage. Then, oil prices fell, and suddenly, the system had nothing underneath it. When Nicolas Maduro took over, the damage was already done. Oil income dropped. Production efficiency collapsed. Imports became unaffordable. Inflation exploded. Basic medicines vanished. Millions left the country. Sanctions later intensified the pain, but the structural collapse happened first. This is important. Venezuela didn't fail because it was attacked. It became vulnerable before it was attacked. And vulnerability invites pressure.
Officially, the U.S. says its actions are about drugs, democracy, and human rights. President Trump publicly stated,
We're going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition.
No timeline was given. These are official claims, and they matter because statements shape markets, alliances, and military posture. But statements alone don't explain why Venezuela remains such a high priority issue. That explanation lies in strategy, not morality. Venezuela still has the largest proven oil reserves in the world. Not all oil is equal. Venezuela's heavy crude matches many U.S. refineries perfectly. Then there's geography. Venezuela sits in what the U.S. considers its strategic backyard. And finally, China and Russia. Both invested in Venezuela, both extended credit, both expanded influence. From a U.S. perspective, this is not about one country. It's about who controls supply chains and influence. Now, zoom out. Silver prices surged during this crisis because silver is no longer just jewelry or investment metal. It is critical for semiconductors, chip manufacturing, electric vehicles, and solar technology. At the same time, China restricted exports, industrial demand increased, and supply became tighter. In this environment, countries rich in multiple strategic resources become extremely important. Venezuela is one of them. This doesn't replace oil, it adds another layer to why global powers care. Venezuela's story teaches 3 lessons. 1. Resources without institutions create illusion, not strength. 2. Free money without production destroys economies. 3. In geopolitics, ideals explain actions, but interests drive them. This is not just Venezuela's story. It's a warning about how the modern world really works. If you want more clear, grounded explanations like this, subscribe. Thanks for watching.